The story starts with someone being brutally killed, and the culprit says, "I managed to kill again, and tomorrow a new day will come," as he lays on top of the victim, before the clock reaches 12 a.m. On the next page, we see the date, the 10th of July, a Monday. We are introduced to the main character, Makoto, who is getting ready to hand out newspapers. We also find out that Makoto is getting another part-time job because he wants an additional job. His coworker expresses concern, saying that's overdoing it, but Makoto says not to worry about him and heads out. We learn that Makoto is only a high schooler trying to provide for his family. Then we meet a guy with long hair named Vakita, whom we'll call the delinquent. The delinquent calls out to Makoto, saying he for sure has money. He then asks Makoto for money to invest in his plan to screw some hookers since he wasted all his money on weed. The delinquent asks Makoto for 30,000 yen, but Makoto declines, saying, "I don't," as he tries to get away. The man yells at Makoto to shut up and hand over the money. Luckily, someone in a nearby store yells out, scaring off the delinquent. The next day, we see a girl named Yeni-chan. The two seem close, and she teases Makoto, saying he has gained some muscles and is working so early in the morning. We find out from Yeni-chan that Makoto skips school a lot to work. Yeni-chan often worries about Makoto, sensing the heavy burden he carries. Despite her teasing, there is a clear sense of concern in her eyes. Makoto, on the other hand, tries to brush off her worries with a smile. He claims he's working to save up for something important. He tries to dismiss Yeni-chan's concerns, saying he'll be fine. However, Yeni-chan isn't easily convinced. She directly asks if he's saving up for Shiori's illness. This question catches Makoto off guard. He asks her how she knows about Shiori. Yeni-chan reveals that one of the school supervisors told her about his situation. Hearing this, Makoto's expression hardens. He insists that it's family business and that he doesn't want to rely on anyone when it comes to Shiori. He firmly believes that the gods gave him this trial to be strong and that they will save her. This unwavering belief in the gods is what keeps him going, even when the odds seem insurmountable. In the next panel, we can see the person Makoto is visiting is Shiori. It's revealed that Shiori is his little sister, and she has been in the hospital for 2 months. Makoto enters the hospital room quietly, taking a moment to watch over his sister. She is hooked up to various machines, looking frail but peaceful. Despite her condition, Makoto remembers her to always have a radiant smile and being energetic. Her smile is a stark contrast to Makoto's usual serious demeanor. But we can see that Makoto vows to help her no matter the cost and what it takes. We also learn from the nurse that they can only perform the operation once Shiori finds a donor. This news is a heavy blow to Makoto, but he tries to stay hopeful. He talks to Shiori about how every second counts and how important she is to him. In the next panel, we see Makoto arriving home. Someone calls out to him, and we see how messy his house is. He tells his father he's home, only for his father to tell him to bring back booze. We see that his dad has friends over and tells him to hurry up. Makoto asks where the sushi came from, only to be shocked that the money spent on food was for his sister's surgery. He expresses his anger toward his father, who tells him she's going to die anyway. His father says, "Why spend money on her if she's going to die?" Frustrated, Makoto grabs his father by the collar and tells him how his sister is fighting for her life while he's spending money on useless things and drinking. His father tells him to shut up and grabs a bottle of alcohol, hitting Makoto with it. He says Makoto should go make more money if he has free time, calling him useless and a stupid piece of shit. Makoto then gets up and runs out of the house. As he runs, he expresses how he can't go on like this anymore and can't bear it. We see his head is bleeding from the damage his father inflicted. He arrives at a shrine, gets on his knees, and begs the gods. He says he's been trying so hard yet hasn't gotten anything back, not even good luck. He asks the gods if they deserve a little bit of happiness. As he kneels in silence, frustrated by the lack of response, he believes there are no gods out there. With all his pent-up anger, he yells that if the future only brings despair, a new day better not come at all. In the next panel, we see Makoto finishing his shift and getting rewarded with an extra bento. He wonders what to do about the hospital bill, considering finding another part-time job. Makoto gets a call from the hospital nurses, They tell him a donor was found for his sister. To Makoto's surprise, he asks if it's true, and the nurse responds with yes. The operation is scheduled for a month later. The nurse says he's happy for Makoto and his sister. Makoto then thinks the gods have heard his prayers. In the next panel, we see Makoto washing his face and getting ready for the day. The same delinquent comes up to Makoto and asks if he wants to invest in his plan to screw some hookers, only for Makoto to tell him he already said that yesterday. Makoto then checks the date on the newspaper and realizes it's still July 10th, Monday. Confused, he asks his boss if the newspapers are from yesterday, but his boss dismisses it and asks if he's all right. Makoto heads to the hospital and asks the nurse about the donor, only to face her confusion. She says she didn't call him and someone probably played a prank on him. Makoto thinks it would have been impossible unless time had rewound. Suddenly, we see the nurse rushing to Makoto's sister's side. Makoto is confused since she was fine yesterday, and he worries it will turn out badly if a donor isn't found soon. Next, we see Makoto heading back home, realizing that everything from July 10th is repeating. He can't believe it and thinks it's just déjà vu. He looks at the time. It's 11:59 p.m. or 23:59. He stares at the clock until it becomes 12 a.m., when suddenly everything around him changes. His bento disappears, his bag is in another place, and his dirty clothes are set again. Now Makoto is sure that his day is repeating. Makoto runs to the hospital first thing and asks how Shiori's condition is. The nurse tells Makoto that he can't see Shiori right now. Her condition randomly got worse overnight. Makoto couldn't believe it, but he believes that he and his sister are stuck in a time loop together. Makoto wonders why it's only him and his sister in the time loop. As he runs towards the shrine, he realizes why. He asks the gods if this is their doing, and if they actually fulfilled his wish. He yells out, asking if this is some kind of joke. Makoto thinks to himself, why? Just when a donor was finally found? He is frustrated. Desperate, Makoto wonders what he should do to bring a new day. The delinquent then shows up behind Makoto, laughing and accusing him of stealing donations. The delinquent catches up to Makoto and tells him to hand over some money, then snatches Makoto's earnings and kicks him away. While the delinquent is walking away with the money, Makoto appears behind him with a big stone and tells him to give it back. In the next panel, we see Makoto covered in blood, as is the delinquent. Makoto confirms the delinquent is dead and, shocked, he runs away. As he runs, the words, "I killed him," run through his mind. Makoto nervously laughs, claiming he has nothing to fear since the day will just rewind. He waits in his room with a blanket over him, accepting that there should be no more fear. As for him and his sister, there will be no more new days. In the next page, we see Makoto walking in the streets until a police car arrives, and the officers tell people to move aside. Makoto wonders why until he hears people talking about a murder that took place in the area. He realizes time is moving forward. Makoto wonders why and how until he feels something in his hands and sees it's a piece of paper. The paper says, "Great misfortune. If you take a monster's life, a new day's door will open." He realizes that because he killed the delinquent yesterday, time moved forward. Makoto heads to the hospital. Despite the nurses telling him they found Shiori a donor, all he can think about is saving his sister. He believes that if he can move time forward, he can save Shiori. In the end, Makoto declares that to give his sister an opportunity to survive until the operation, he will kill one person every day. That's all for today, everyone. This is the first chapter of the manga Jakusatsu Happy End. Like this and comment if you want me to continue and do more chapters. This manga is more bloody, so it's going to take more time. But if everyone likes this, it'll motivate me to edit and recap more. Peace, everybody.